Part 2 of The Man Who Would Be King. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Philippa. The Man Who Would Be King by Rudyard Kipling. Part 2. The Kumar Sen Sarai is the great four-square sink of humanity, where the strings of camels and horses from the north load and unload. All the nationalities of Central Asia may be found there, and most of the folk of India proper. Balkh and Bokhara there meet Bengal and Bombay, and try to draw eye teeth. You can buy ponies, turquoises, Persian pussycats, saddlebags, fat-tailed sheep, and musk in the Kumar Sen Sarai, and get many strange things for nothing. In the afternoon I went down to see whether my friends intended to keep their word, or were lying there drunk. A priest attired in fragments of ribbons and rags stalked up to me, gravely twisting a child's paper whirligig. Behind him was his servant, bending under the load of a crate of mud toys. The two were loading up 2 camels, and the inhabitants of the Sarai watched them with shrieks of laughter. "The priest is mad," said a horse dealer to me. "He is going up to Kabul to sell toys to the Amir. He will either be raised to honor or have his head cut off. He came in here this morning and has been behaving madly ever since." "The witless are under the protection of God," stammered a flat-cheeked Uzbek in broken Hindi. "They foretell future events." "Would they could have foretold that my caravan would have been cut up by the Shinwaris almost within shadow of the pass," grunted the Yusufzai agent of a Rajputana trading house, whose goods had been diverted into the hands of other robbers just across the border, and whose misfortunes were the laughing-stock of the bazaar. "Oi, priest! Whence come you, and whither do you go?" "From Roum have I come," shouted the priest, waving his whirligig. "From Roum, blown by the breath of 100 devils across the sea. Oh, thieves, robbers, liars, the blessing of Pir Khan on pigs, dogs, and perjurers. Who will take the protected of God to the north to sell charms that are never still to the Amir? The camels shall not gall, the sons shall not fall sick, and the wives shall remain faithful while they are away of the men who give me place in their caravan. Who will assist me to slipper the king of the Roos with a golden slipper with a silver heel? The protection of Pir Khan be upon his labors." He spread out the skirts of his gabardine and pirouetted between the lines of tethered horses. "There starts a caravan from Peshawar to Kabul in 20 days, Husrut," said the Yusufzai trader. "My camels go therewith. Do thou also go and bring us good luck." "I will go even now," shouted the priest. "I will depart upon my winged camels and be at Peshawar in a day. Ho, Hazir Mir Khan," he yelled to his servant, "drive out the camels, but let me first mount my own." He leapt on the back of his beast as it knelt, and, turning round to me, cried, "Come thou also, Sahib, a little along the road, and I will sell thee a charm, an amulet that shall make thee king of Kafiristan." Then the light broke upon me, and I followed the 2 camels out of the Sarai till we reached open road, and the priest halted. "What do you think of that?" said he in English. "Carnehan can't talk their patter, so I've made him my servant. He makes a handsome servant. 'Tisn't for nothing that I've been knocking about the country for 14 years. Didn't I do that talk neat? We'll hitch on to a caravan at Peshawar till we get to Jagdalak, and then we'll see if we can get donkeys for our camels and strike into Kafiristan. Whirligigs for the Amir, oh Lord! Put your hand under the camel bags and tell me what you feel." I felt the butt of a martini, and another, and another. "20 of 'em," said Dravot placidly. "20 of 'em, and ammunition to correspond, under the whirligigs and the mud doles." "Heaven help you if you're caught with those things," I said. "A martini is worth her weight in silver among the Pathans." 1,500 rupees of capital, Every rupee we could beg, borrow or steal are invested on those 2 camels," said Dravot. "We won't get caught. We're going through the Khyber with a regular caravan. Who'd touch a poor mad priest?" "Have you got everything you want?" I asked, overcome with astonishment. "Not yet, but we shall soon. Give us a memento of your kindness, brother. You did me a service yesterday and that time in Marwell. Half my kingdom shall you have, as the saying is." I slipped a small charm compass from my watch chain and handed it up to the priest. "Goodbye," said Dravot, giving me hand cautiously. "It's the last time we'll shake hands with an Englishman these many days. Shake hands with him, Carnehan," he cried as the second camel passed me. Carnehan leaned down and shook hands. Then the camels passed away along the dusty road, and I was left alone to wonder. My eye could detect no failure in the disguises. The scene in the Serai proved that they were complete to the native mind. There was just the chance, therefore, that Carnehan and Dravot would be able to wander through Afghanistan without detection. But beyond, they would find death, certain and awful death. 10 days later, a native correspondent, giving me the news of the day from Peshawar, wound up his letter with, "There has been much laughter here on the account of a certain mad priest, who is going, in his estimation, to sell pretty gauds and insignificant trinkets, which he ascribes as great charms, to H. the Amir of Bokhara. He passed through Peshawar and associated himself to the second summer caravan that goes to Kabul. The merchants are pleased because through superstition they imagine that such mad fellows bring good fortune." The 2 then were beyond the border. I would have prayed for them, but that night a real king died in Europe and demanded an obituary notice. The wheel of the world swings through the same phases again and again. Summer passed and winter thereafter, and came and passed again. The daily paper continued, and I with it, and upon the 3rd summer there fell a hot night, a night issue, and a strained waiting for something to be telegraphed from the other side of the world, exactly as had happened before. A few great men had died in the past 2 years, the machines worked with more clatter, and some of the trees in the office garden were a few feet taller, but that was all the difference. I passed over to the press room and went through just such a scene as I have already described. The nervous tension was stronger than it had been 2 years before, and I felt the heat more acutely. At 3 o'clock I cried, "Print off," and turned to go, when there crept to my chair what was left of a man. He was bent into a circle, his head was sunk between his shoulders, and he moved his feet one over the other like a bear. I could hardly see whether he walked or crawled, this rag-wrapped, whining cripple, who addressed me by name, crying that he was come back. "Can you give me a drink?" he whimpered. "For the Lord's sake, give me a drink." I went back to the office, the man following with groans of pain, and I turned up the lamp. "Don't you know me?" he gasped, dropping into a chair, and he turned his drawn face, surmounted by a shock of grey hair, to the light. I looked at him intently. Once before had I seen eyebrows that met over the nose in an inch-broad black band, but for the life of me I could not tell where. "I don't know you," I said, handing him the whisky. "What can I do for you?" He took a gulp of the spirit raw, and shivered in spite of the suffocating heat. "I've come back," he repeated, "and I was the King of Kafiristan, me and Dravot, crowned kings we was. In this office we settled it, you sitting there and giving us the books. I'm Peachy Taliaferro Carnehan, and you've been sitting here ever since. Oh, Lord!" I was more than a little astonished, and expressed my feelings accordingly. "It's true," said Carnehan, with a dry cackle, nursing his feet, which were wrapped in rags. "True as gospel.